Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing how to play Matthew's March. And so let's go ahead and let's get right into it. You can see we've already got the cello out and ready to go. We got our bow here. I'm just going to go over real quick the bow hold again just to make sure that refresh your memory. Make sure to put your bunny ears, have your bunny ears out like so. You can see. And make sure your pinky is right on the ivory circle right there. Make sure that's happening. Then make sure your third and fourth are together and your thumb just meets them nice and straight. You can see right there underneath the hair, or in between the hairs, kind of right in the bridge there, if you can see that, right in between, on deck. And then we have our index pointer finger right here on top just to help support. So let's go ahead and get right into playing Matthew's March. So when you're first beginning to start a song, you usually, with a beginner, if you're going to be teaching a beginner, you want to start out with something that they can do relatively easily. So right now we're going to set aside the bow actually. We're going to set aside the bow and we're going to begin, when you have your music here, actually I have my music here, you're not going to be able to see it from in the video, but let's say the student has their music there, you want to begin by plucking it. So you want to just begin, if you really want to break it down simple, you could just start out with plucking the individual strings that each note is going to be played on. However, assuming that your student is just a little more advanced, you could go ahead and start plucking out the notes. So right there, we got our hold, and that is a D right there. So let's go ahead and on Matthew's March here, we have D, notes D and C. So we're going to start out with 2 Ds, and these are all quarter notes. Example. Now that would probably be after several attempts for the student. So what you might want to do, you might want to slow down the tempo. You don't want to just jump right into it. You want to slow down the tempo. You also want to identify problem areas. So for example, in measure, that would be measure 5, when it switches down from the A string, or the D string I should say rather, down to the G string, sorry, I think I got that backwards there. The A string down to the D string. When you switch from there, that could be a little bit of a problem area, having to switch your fingering down. So if you have a younger student, you may want to take some time there just to explain that to them, have them practice that a couple times as such. So when we get to this last part of measure 4, you may just want to have them practice that right there, switching from, and then switching their hand over onto that D string and playing that G with the pinky. So you want to make sure to solve some of those problem areas and identify them, and make sure that the student understands what's going on in the music. Then after you're going to want to practice that several times. So, and after the student is adept at plucking that out, you can then switch to several different techniques. A common one though is to take the bow then, and we're not going to begin playing the song just yet. So what you'll want to do is instruct the student, make sure to have proper bow hold first off. Make sure the student has a proper bow hold. And then what you'll want to do is take the music and then just play the notes and just bow the notes on whichever string it is. So for the first 4 measures in Matthew's March here of this song, you would want to just have the student play the first 4 measures on this string, playing the rhythm. So as such. after those first 4 measures, switch down to this lower string, and then be aware of in the 3rd beat on measure 5, it's actually going to be switching the bowing back up to that A string. So see again in measure 7, the same thing occurs once more. So those are some problem areas you would want to identify, and then just practice over that several times at a slow, nice, steady rhythm. So we're going to go ahead and just start over from the top there. Another thing that is important to make sure that you notice is in the bowing, when you're switching from string to string, making sure that multiple sounds aren't occurring and that your student isn't catching multiple strings with his bow. That's just another thing to look for, and make sure that you're identifying and explaining to your student, because that is very critical, especially as the student progresses. You want to make sure that he has a good understanding and is playing the notes clearly and has a good understanding of what's going on musically. So then once your student is capable of once the student is able to go ahead and play those, what you're going to do, as the teacher, you would want to just make sure that they find their D string, and now you will want to just break it down slowly. So maybe you just go, for example, first measure, just have the student play the first measure at a very slow pace, and make sure to remind your student which way you want them to bow, whether backwards or forwards, just so they have a good pattern. On this one, I find going backwards is preferable, so just go ahead and start in then. There's measure 1. So, and if need be, have your student slow it down even further. Just like that. Then, once they master measure 1, you can just have them play measure 2. Measure 2 has a little bit of a drop there because you're going from the D and then playing just the A string open. So then, once that's achieved, then you can have your student play measures 1 and 2. Then, if you notice, just explain to the student, you can explain that measures 3 and 4 are very, very similar to measures 1 and 2, with just the one difference being in measure 4, the B and the second beat being played instead of the D. So. Once your student makes it that far, you can go ahead and applaud them. That's half of the song. And then number 2 is that they have now played 4 measures of the song. So make sure to applaud your student and praise them wherever is necessary, or whenever they have success and are achieving their goals. Then, once they've played the first 4 measures, you may want to just break down the second, especially the 5th and 7th measures, like we talked about with those bowings going across the strings. So you may want them to just play the 5th measure very slowly. So. And then moving on to measure 6. Like so. So then just have that. Then you may want to run over it again. We're going to go ahead and run over that again. Now, once they are able to play the first 4 measures in a segment and the last 4 measures in a segment, have them go ahead and put it together. So now we're going to play the whole song together of Matthew's March. And make sure to incorporate a slow tempo and then slowly build up. Now, should a mistake or error occur, such as was just played, just make sure to praise your student for what they've done correctly and then go back and correct said measures. So for example, in measure 7, let's say the student had a problem that let's say they're not bowing that correctly, just encourage them, have them slow it down. Also make sure to identify the problems. In this example, make the problem being switching from bowing to bowing. So then you may just want to, as a simple thing, is just have the student practice without any of the fingerings, practice playing in between the strings. Such as that. After a student has perfected that, then you can go ahead and move back to that measure. So there was a problem with fingering. So now let's go ahead and play it again all together, and we're just going to see what Matthew's March sounds like. And that is Matthew's March. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Hope you were able to learn some things of how to teach a student, or if you are a student trying to learn Matthew's March. Hope this helped identify some areas where you can improve, slow down. One of the main things that you always want to remember when starting a new instrument, when beginning a new instrument, is that you don't have to rush through it. You want to make sure to build the fundamentals and the foundation strong. That way, as you progress, you already have the technique and the foundation that you need to be able to progress on the proper manner. If you rush through the fundamentals and you don't take time, and your students wanting to go, and you as a teacher don't take time to slow them down and have them stop and make sure they drill in the fundamentals, it's just like a building that has a faulty foundation. It's likely going to crumble or be very unstable in the future. So just same thing with your student. You want to you just want to have your student slow down, take a break, even come back after 15 minutes, have them try it again. If they get discouraged, make sure that you're doing things to encourage them along the way, and also just allow them to be able to make mistakes. Don't criticize them for their mistakes, just correct mistakes, and then continue to build on that foundation. But just make sure to have that foundation built structurally sound and musically, and that will continue to help you as you go on and improve your musicianship, and hopefully even as playing the cello, hopefully down the road they're playing an orchestra someday. So that's the dream. I hope this video is helpful. I hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you later.